Hello and welcome to Help I Need an Adult. We're here at Foggy Water Studios with my co-host as always, Megan, Mixmaster Chef, and our three special guests, Savannah, Brandy, and Bobby Lee. They are owners and proprietors of Greasy Goat Farms and the Outcast Sanctuary, which they help all sorts of different animals to just recuperate. And if they can't recuperate, they give them a place where they can, live out the rest of their days as happy little beings. She has got a book called Achilles Heel. She's got multiple books out. So that's the latest one. It'll be out in November. And we're excited to have them here. So
thank you.
Thank you guys for coming, by the way. I know it was the 3-hour drive. I mean, that is crazy drive.
It was a little drive. Traffic's a little crazy.
Yeah.
Atlanta is never fun.
No, it's not.
Yeah, coming up 75 any time of the day is never fun because you've got those people who just like to, they're on the all the way over here, right? Here's the exit. And then they realize at the last second, oh, that's my exit. I need to get off and just.
Oh, well, I thought Atlanta was crazy. Yeah, that might be me. I thought Atlanta was crazy until we went to Miami.
Yeah. When we went to Florida,
I was like, oh, wow, people in Atlanta aren't as crazy as I thought.
There was that 18-wheeler. That guy was like watching a TV show, and he just drifted across the whole interstate.
Oh, while he was driving, he was watching.
Yeah, we were like, we thought he was sleepy because we were like, what is going on? He must be so tired. And then we get up there, and he's got like his tablet.
Like Oprah. He's like watching Oprah.
Whenever me and you went to North Carolina to pick up the horse, there was this woman driving with her foot and putting on her mascara.
She sure was.
Wow.
She sure was.
It's everywhere, man.
I've seen women like driving and putting on their makeup, but I've never seen like a woman with her foot on the steering wheel, like double.
She straight up was like,
I'm going to tell you.
She was holding the eye. I was like, what?
Matt, when he worked at Sprint, he worked with a firefighter that said you should not do that. Like he had actually been on an accident where a woman had the makeup go through her eyeball.
God, Megan, why'd you have to say that?
Just for everybody out there, do not do makeup and drive and get in a wreck. But we were talking about earlier, you said you started getting into animals around 12 years old.
Yeah, I started. What happened was there was a program at the Humane Society where you could go and volunteer for the summers when I was a kid. And then I talked to Mom and Daddy. I always liked animals from really early on. And we had a little, we would have chickens here and there and stuff like that. I always had a dog. Daddy always kept a bulldog. So I started one summer and I kept going back. I went back through the school year. I went back, on the weekends, and it was, I never felt like there was anything else that I wanted to do. I knew, pretty early on that animals were going to be something that I was going to be doing. So I went to work there, and Dr. Frary Smalley was over the Lawrence County Animal Shelter at the time. And we would, back then, there weren't a lot of strays. Lawrence County was still growing. Dublin was pretty small. So, we had, maybe 50 animals come in over the course of a month.
Right.
So he would, Dr. Smalley was really, him and Miss Carolyn were both like really animal lovers. So they would, get them what they need and send them on their way. We didn't know a lot about a lot of different diseases back then, like for instance, parvo. I mean, I can remember, used to when an animal got parvo, a dog got parvo, they just put it down. But, then the studies came out that showed, how you treat it and everything. And I can remember the first one that we had there that survived. And I remember I was so excited because, we had hands on with this puppy, 24 hours a day, pretty much, trying to get it to live and all. It was really exciting, during that time. And then, I went for a little while and didn't volunteer there, but, I always kept a stray, picked up what I could, helped what I could. And then I went to vet tech school when I got old enough to do that.
Is parvo, that's the one where you have to, like you have to segregate the dogs or right where you have to keep them away because it's really communicable.
It's very, very contagious.
Right.
You can get parvo. You can take parvo to your dog on your shoes. I mean, it lives in the ground for a long time.
Is it from the feces and stuff?
It is vomit and the feces. They actually shed the lining of their intestines with it. It's very, it's a very, very bad, very, very bad virus. And, you know, a lot of people don't vaccinate, and that's why we have it still. I mean,
right.
It does change. There are different strands of it, you know, but if everybody would vaccinate their puppies,
yeah,
it would really, really bring it down, just like it does in people, you know, just like, you know, we don't have much polio anymore. You know what I mean? It would help if people vaccinated, but the puppies anywhere, generally your puppy from the time, you know, it's born to probably almost a year old, it's at risk. After a year old, they're not as likely to get it.
Right.
It has happened, but it's not as likely.
Yeah, I remember when a friend of, I think it was her brother, my wife's brother, got a new dog. I can't remember if it was him or somebody else, but we couldn't like bring the dog around our other dogs because we were, I guess we were waiting on them to get the vaccine for it.
Right.
And we were just like, we didn't know if it had it or not, but we were just like, you know, it's a new puppy. We just want to be careful.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, I didn't know anything about it. And I was just like, Jesus, really? Is that bad?
It is. It's very contagious. Matter of fact, most veterinary offices, they have something like Parvasol or something like that is for the prevention of that.
Yeah, it's like a Lysol.
And we clean
parvo.
with it. Yeah,
right.
We clean everything with it. So it's like, you know, because something like Lysol is not going to kill parvo.
Right.
Bleach will kill it. I think it's 1 part bleach to 2 parts water or 3 parts water. I can't remember exact solution, but something like that will kill it. But otherwise, you have to have something that's specifically for it because it's very, very viable.
Right.
You know, and it's very communicable.
So how do you, when you get a new animal in like that, is it only puppies or can older dogs have it as well?
We don't generally take in puppies unless they do have a handicap. We actually have a dog who is a carrier for parvo, which means he carries the virus, but it doesn't make him sick.
Oh, no.
But every other puppy he comes in contact with, or every other puppy that comes into an area where he has used the bathroom or anything like that, is at risk for it. So when we do, like now we have a puppy that has brain damage, and we just completely separate, you know, them out.
Yeah, you don't want to take the risk.
Yeah, right. It's not worth the risk, and make sure everybody's vaccinated.
Yeah,
you know. So
tell us. Let's see. We've got some pictures up here. Which one do you want to talk about first, Brandy?
Whichever one looks interesting to y'all.
Yeah.
You want to just go in order?
Yeah. We'll just look at. I like to look at all of them.
Okay,
actually.
that's Savannah's deal right there. That's Jasper.
Is this like your personal pet project?
He was.
He was. Oh, this is gonna be an emotional story.
Oh gosh. Okay.
All right. So that's Jasper.
He suffered from megaesophagus.
Yeah, we got him.
What is? I'm sorry. I mean, what exactly is that?
Megaesophagus is a condition. There's a couple of different types, but the type that he had was the esophagus is enlarged.
Right.
And most of the time they don't have a very good swallow reflex. So they have to sit upright to eat. Their food has to be a certain consistency.
Wow.
And they have to sit upright for so long for the food to go down. He actually had
the artery in his heart went around his esophagus and it created a pocket.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So he had to sit upright for 30 minutes after he ate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, go ahead. I hate to bring you back into, you know.
It's fine.
But I think people, I think people need to, I think it's good for people to know about like all the stuff you guys do. And like, you know, dogs are just like human beings. There's all kinds of stuff that can be wrong with them. And they're just like people, you know.
3-year-old child.
Well,
they have the mentality. Studies say that your dog generally has the mentality of a 3-year-old child.
Hmm.
And cats, they say, are, depending on who you talk to, a little bit smarter or just a little bit under that.
Right.
Well,
Just like a
what
cat
made you
person.
guys want to help these disabled animals? I think that's I mean,
What-
because like he was saying, we don't just throw away disabled people.
Yeah.
And
Well-
and a lot of, I mean, I know we've talked about people feeling like animals are just disposable.
Yeah. So the clinic that I worked at for so long, and I've got to say the vets there were phenomenal. I mean, uh, they were such a good group that I'm prejudiced. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, I'm even a little funny about anybody else touching any of my animals because I know how they were and I know how good they were.
You know how they operate.
Right.
You trust. It's like you have a sense of
Right,
trust with them.
right. And I learned so much there. Dr. Hall was just like, he'd been in it for a long time. So he's like a wealth of wisdom, and Dr. Bars was just surgery. He was phenomenal with surgery. I mean, just, there's nobody else I would want doing surgery on mine. But, so when I was working at the animal clinic, I'd always kind of had a big heart for, bulldogs. I was not a lab person. didn't care for labs too much, but everybody's got their favorite breed. So we're working there, and this lady comes in, and she kind of does what I did. She'd pick up strays, get them what they need, try to find a rescue to place them with. And so she came in. She had a mama dog and some puppies that she'd found on the road, and one of the puppies apparently had been hit by a car. It was tiny, very 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 young.
The runt of the litter.
No, just like young.
Yeah,
just very young.
Right.
And his legs were splayed out sideways, and they were stiff. And she had taken him to a couple. I think she brought him somewhere here in Atlanta too to have physical therapy to see if it would help him any or whatever. And they told her basically there was no help for his back legs.
Right.
So she brought him to the clinic, and she talked to the vets at the clinic, and they were basically like, "There's not a lot we can do. He is paralyzed. He's paralyzed. In his back legs. The bones are already kind of fused together. There's not a lot to do." And so when she was it was really hard for her. She really did not want to put this dog down. I mean, I could tell that this was, she didn't want to do it, but she really didn't know what to do. And so I asked her if I could take him and try it, just try something. And so I took him home. And I talked to Dr. Bars about it, and Dr. Bars was like, maybe, we'll watch him and see what happens. And so I took him home. We made a makeshift wheelchair like out of PVC pipe. It was
I've been there.
It was a mess. So, because we didn't know what we were doing. But anyway, so we brought Stevie home, and after about 3 or 4 months, it became apparent that one of his legs was going to have to come off. He was rubbing a hole in himself because one of the legs was drawn up, and it was rubbing, his butt.
Right.
So I talked to Dr. Bars about it, and really, I think he had never really, dealt with one in that kind of situation either. So he really didn't know how it was going to go, and he was like, "Well, we can try it," So we took one leg off, and we put him in a wheelchair. And shortly after that, the other leg started, giving us some problems. So we went back and took the other leg off. And Stevie, I just put up a post, and I contacted a place called Gunner's Wheels. They're on Facebook. They have been a godsend for us. So we talked to Gunner's Wheels, and they sent us a wheelchair. They do it through charity and donations.
Yeah.
And because we didn't know if he was going to live. We didn't know. And so we put him in the wheelchair, and I mean, he has had to have a few other surgeries. There's been some complications here and there. But I mean, he is a happy, healthy, big black lab. And he is, I mean, and he was the first.
Right.
And I think seeing that one that everybody else
Kind of gave up on him,
gave
right?
up on, yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing that and seeing that he could be a healthy, happy, normal dog
Right.
kind of gave me the push. I was like, okay, you know, these animals are the ones that need help. And you know, of course, having a vet that's willing
Yeah.
to
I'm sure
help
that's
you
a big,
even when they themselves are a little like, I'm not sure how this is going to go, you know, that is a big thing. You know, you have to, if you do take on one of these animals, you have to make sure that you have a vet that is on the same page that you are.
Right.
Because it is, you know, it's a strength. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional now.
That's
Talking
all
about my
right.
child, my Stevie child. But yeah, I do. I have a good group of donors. And I realized pretty early in with Stevie, because the surgeries were expensive. I mean,
they are.
And you know, like I said, Dr. Barsh was great. You know, but he himself, you know, he had things he had to pay for to be able to do the surgery.
Right.
So I got together with my donors and just some people. I mean, I didn't know them at the time. And we started posting and they donated and they covered the vet bill. And I was like, wow, people are really, they will really help you. They will really help you with this. There's other people out there like I am about it.
They want to give,
Right.
they give that pet a chance.
They
man.
want to help.
Yeah.
And so I have a good group of donors now, and that's how we run. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't make it. There's no way. There's no way that we could continue to help these animals without our donors, because it is expensive.
Right.
You know, and I think anybody that does take on a handicapped animal needs to understand that there are going to be expenses that you don't expect with a regular dog, you know, or a regular cat. So
it's always going to be something that might potentially pop up. And
yeah,
you're not prepared for it.
Sometimes you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some that we've had for years, and then something pops up and I'm like, what is that? You know, and so we'll have to go to the vet for it, and it'll be something crazy. I mean, it'll be something you won't even. I mean, like, okay, with Jasper, we knew he had a mega esophagus, but he was acting really strange.
The one on the very far left,
first
Matt.
one, babe.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he was acting really strange, and just because we were thinking, well, he's not getting enough vitamins. But when we had blood work done and all, he actually had Addison's disease too,
and cranial dysplasia.
Where did you guys get him?
Good night.
A breeder came to me.
A breeder came in and she had lost
the
mother dog, and she needed somebody to bottle feed the puppies.
Yeah.
And me and Mom both decided that, you know, we'd just bottle feed them for her. It wasn't a big deal. And Jasper was my puppy that I had to bottle feed. I think there's 6 and we both got 3. And Jasper was in that 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed
we were planning to return them to
return
right. Was he the only
breeder.
puppy that had like I guess like a disease or deep so
yeah, from a young age we would feed him and he would either puke or it'd run out of his nose. And early on we realized something was wrong, so we took him to the vet and found out he had mega esophagus. Not a normal case either, like she had explained, where the artery wrapped around. And then as he got older, with that in itself, I was told that he wouldn't make it out of his little infancy.
Yeah.
But once he turned about 3 months old, I think, he started acting really, really odd. And we took him back to the clinic to have blood work. And it turned out he had Addison's disease and cranial dysplasia. So
we didn't learn about the cranial dysplasia till he was about 6 months old.
Yeah, till he was about 6 months old, which is his head,
yeah.
his skull didn't grow, so his brain
was like pushing against this.
Yeah,
wow.
So it caused aggression.
Wow.
And the Addison's, it affects different parts of the body. It affected his kidneys and his eyesight. So you can kind of see he looks like he's squinty in that picture.
He always looked like that.
Yeah, he always looked like that.
Yeah. So she would feed him 3 times a day, every day, and she would hold him upright for 30 minutes because we didn't have a. There's something called a what's it called?
It's like a high chair for
It's a
dogs.
chair, yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
can't
don't
remember
really
what the name of
remember
it
what
is.
it's
Kind of
called.
forces them to stay upright.
Yeah, it's a high chair for dogs, basically. I wish I could remember the name of
Yeah.
that thing.
But for me, I don't know. I always held him whenever I fed him, so I didn't want one of those chairs. I wanted to love on him while we were sitting there.
That's
Right.
the only time he was still.
It's like give you an excuse to like, oh yeah, I'm holding him up. I've got
Yeah.
to do this.
Exactly.
But he learned. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he
learned.
knew.
He learned that when he got ready to eat, he had to go and we had a table that we fed him at. And he would go to that table and he'd stand up right and he would wait, for us to feed him. So, I mean, he learned. And
It looks like he looks like he's pretty big. So he looks like he lived.
he lived.
He was a year old
a year
when
old.
he died.
Was he?
Yeah, I was told he wouldn't make it out of his infancy. When he got 3 months old,
Yeah.
he's not going to live to be 6 months old. When he was 6 months old, he won't live another month. It was just constant. He's not going to make it.
And it was kind of crazy because once he hit that year mark, we kind of started getting comfortable. We were like, okay,
Hey,
we're going to be fine.
right.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
He died of
His
embolism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, that's why that is the main reason I feel for you guys because I know I've got a small little we call him a Chiweenie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a Chihuahua with a wiener dog, and
Yeah.
his back legs. He's starting to get to where he does the little wobble thing with his
Mhm.
back legs, and every once in a while he just has to plop his butt down and
Yeah.
he just drag himself around. He's 16 years old.
Yeah. And
So
that happens with age. Yeah.
that's what the doc said because he is a wiener dog.
Mhm.
He's like their backs
it's
just
predisposed to it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's one dog, and I'm like when I see him, I'm just like, it's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't worry. All right. I'm like picking his back, like, oh,
Yeah.
you got this, man. And so it makes me tear up thinking about because you guys go through this all the time.
It
man.
is. It's something that you have to. It is emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster, but
because you're investing all this time and and money,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I just want you to survive and
Well-
be
Well, you
happy.
get
Like
dogs that have like cancer
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. I mean,
yeah,
and
we have a
they
Great Dane that has this terminal with cancer right now. But yeah, and I tell the girls all the time, we're not going for quantity. We're going for quality.
Right.
So we want them to have as normal a life as they can have in the time that they have.
Right.
Now, when they get to the point where, and it's funny, and I know that a lot of people struggle when it comes time
Oh yeah.
to put them down, and stuff like that. But it's like this: when you do it for a while, I mean, they let you know.
It's like you can sense that.
They let you know. You'll know.
Right.
It's almost in their expression.
Yeah.
Like
they're saying, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. The only one that I was really that I struggled with, and I think it was because we did have him for so long, was Achilles.
did you?
Um
He's the last one.
Yeah. He was 17 years old and I'd had him since he was a puppy. And he had cancer. And that was the last that's the last picture I think we have of him. Just a few weeks before he died. And I struggled. I knew that it was time to let him go.
Yeah.
But I just, he was like my child.
How old was he?
17 years old.
That's pretty old for a dog, man.
Yeah, and he did. He was ate up with cancer. He went the way that I wish all of them would go. Really, he kind of became comatose the day before, and then that next morning he passed away, just almost in his sleep.
Right.
So, but really that one got me. I probably should have, took him before, he got like that. But at least it was peaceful for him. you
Right.
know. But like I said, he was my child. He was my baby.
Listen, I understand. I had we had a cat, tabby cat, and its name was Lynx, and we rescued her from the street. Like she was a street kitty, and we took her in, and took her to the vet, got all her shots, and they'd been like saying you need to spay. It's spay for a girl cat, right?
Yeah, spay.
Okay, I didn't want to sound like an idiot. Spay, you need to spay her, and we were like, no, we're not going to do it, and we kept putting it off, and so finally, I think it was like we had her like for like 6 years, and we were like, all right, well, we'll spay her because she started getting out, right? We were worried she was going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So we spayed her, but what happened was, and this is not the vet's fault at all. They said it's like a 1 in a million chance. Sometimes it happens. The tube that they stuck down her throat had nicked something in her esophagus.
Yeah.
So her skin was literally coming off her muscle, and it was You touched her, and it would crackle.
Yeah.
Like crackle, like snap, crackle, pop type Rice Krispies.
Yeah, and that's a risk that even people run with surgery for them.
And
that's why you sign the papers when you take
exactly.
them.
And I was like, I wasn't mad at the vet at all, and I was just like, I can't believe this happened to her, and like we didn't even want to do it. And when they were like, you're just gonna have to put her down because there's nothing you can do for her, and I was livid in the vet's office. I was like screaming, and like I was like telling them, getting mad and yelling at people, and my wife was like, you need to calm down. Like,
you get that way because because
that cat used to lay on my stomach every night and fall asleep on my stomach, and I would go to sleep, and I'd wake up, and she'd just be laying there on my tummy asleep, and I got mad, dude. I mean, I was yelling and like kicking shit. And
look, I have seen big muscled up biker dudes cry like babies, when they lost their pet.
I did. I cried like a little bee. Yeah, I did.
I mean, I've seen it, but you know what? To some people, that's their child. I mean, you that's the way it is. You feel that way.
Like you were saying earlier, my wife calls them her fur babies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And she's going to get a little shirt when we have the kid that says my siblings are like have paws or something like that, or have 4 legs,
Yeah.
So, I was never really into pets until I met her. But once I met her, it was just like, I didn't realize I could love an animal this much and get so close to it, You
can. Right. We're so intertwined with them.
Yeah.
We don't even realize it.
And it's like, you said, you literally can see different personalities and different, pets and stuff. And it's so cool to find those personalities, those little quirks that they do. Like when they're sleeping or something, they have to get up under your legs for some weird reason. Yeah.
It's funny. And every animal that we have, and I tell people that all the time, they all have their own personalities. And a lot of them, we're the last stop, We're the last stop.
All right. Yeah, you guys are
before they, we're the end of the line.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like we have one that was tagged for being aggressive, supposedly, had bitten somebody, and so we did when we first got him, we had, exercised extreme caution because we have had some that were yeah.
Tad aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some that were pretty bad, but we got him, and we were like, at first he was a little nippy, and he just was, and what it amounted to was he was mortified. He was absolutely mortified.
Yeah.
He had been kept alone. The people that had him worked all the time.
Right.
He was he had high anxiety, and now he's part of the pack, so to speak, and he is a lot more comfortable. And we have not had him attempt to bite anybody. He's really not even, aggressive towards the other dogs. So, you just never know. They're a lot like people.
I don't think people think about, a dog even being able to have anxiety or
yeah, I don't think that they do, but they do. I mean, if you think about the mentality of a 3-year-old, would you take your 3-year-old to a prison and leave them with a bunch of other children that may or may not abuse them, or adults, like the staff that may or may not abuse them? I mean, you don't think about it in those terms, but you need to. I mean, and that's I mean, look, there are 70,000 animals born in the United States every day.
Every day?
That is the
I
statistics.
thought you were going to say like a year.
No, that is the statistics from the Humane Society website. And, there's 6.5 million that enter the shelter every year. And of that 6.5 million, there's 2.4 million that are euthanized.
My God.
And Georgia, let's see, how's it go? It goes Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas are responsible for 40% of those animals being euthanized. Now, you think that doesn't sound like a lot because it's less than half, but there's 50 states. That's just 4 states.
4 states that are...
And Georgia is ranked number 2.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's education. I think people are not educated. I know, especially in our county, you have a lot of people that either don't believe in spay and neuter, or they just don't have the money to do it. And then, if you think, your dog has a puppy and your dog has puppies. She has 6 puppies. If even half of those puppies are female, those puppies are going to have puppies in a year. And that's not even including the other puppies that she has through her lifetime. I mean, it's an ongoing problem. And, the animals that enter the shelter, if your dog gets lost and they pick it up somewhere, you only have a 15% chance that you will ever see your dog again. And for cats, it's between 3 and 5%.
That is insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad. And so, it's just, the statistics are staggering. And I think that people need to be educated about spaying and neutering. I think they need to be educated about microchipping, because, you can't find your dog if it's gone and it doesn't have a tag, which a lot of times people do tag their animals, but a collar falls off. A collar gets lost.
I can't count how many times my collar, my dog, like they'll go outside and then all of a sudden they come back in and I'm like, where the hell is your collar at, man? Mm-hmm. And it's snagged on something that they were rubbing their neck up against, but a microchip also can migrate too. A dog that's had a microchip for years, it can migrate, in the skin and the body. So shelters do need to check, kind of from the neck to the tail and both shoulders, because it can kind of migrate. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen. Right. And also people surrendering their animals. Look, in the shelter, no, I'm serious. In the shelter, literally, if the shelter is overcrowded, and most shelters in Georgia are overcrowded, you can bring your dog in and sign it over to the shelter, and they can literally take it back and euthanize it right then. They are the first, owner surrenders are the first to be euthanized, because with strays, there is a Georgia law that says they have to wait 7 days to give the owner an opportunity to get their dog. Right. So when you take your dog to the shelter believing that it is going to find a good home, the chances are not good. And right behind that is the injured animals or handicapped animals. And it don't matter if their handicap has been seen about. It don't matter if you have documentation that they're a good dog. And I'm not talking about just in a wheelchair. I'm talking about blind, deaf,
things like that. I
Right.
mean, it could be something as simple as a broken leg. They're going to go next, and then the aggressive dogs. And a lot of times the aggression is just fear. So, you know, people they really need to think about it. I mean, and the top 10 reasons people, you know, surrender their pets is asinine. I don't know how else to put it. But like, number one reason an animal enters a shelter is because it's a stray. Okay. The second is because they're moving. I can't tell you how many times I'm moving and I can't take it with us. We have moved 4 times and we got 30 dogs, and we have never left a dog behind.
Well, I
Right.
see that a lot up here with people moving, and they
Yes.
move into apartments or they move into a rental, and they say we're not allowed to bring this
Well,
animal with us.
You need to find somewhere else to go. I mean, really, like usually a pet deposit's what, $100?
$50 to $100, yeah.
Yeah.
What
it's-
is that?
It's
You
not.
know?
It's never like $500,000.
So, like,
yeah.
You're moving to a complex that can't have children. Are you going to leave little Johnny behind? I mean, I don't know, you know.
Sorry, little Johnny.
Take it to the school
No
and
kid
drop
policy.
it off. Can't have it here,
Yeah.
you know. People having a baby, they get rid of their dogs, you know, because they had a baby. I have mixed feelings about that. If the dog is a danger to the child, then obviously you have to do something. But it's been my experience that people who want to keep their animals, they make it work. I mean, they do something to make it work, or either they find a home themselves. They look and they screen people and they find a home for their dog themselves,
Right.
instead of taking it to the shelter. The kids lost interest. You know, it's you got the dog. It's not
For
your
the-
child's
yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times there's an elderly owner. We have what, 3?
Yeah, 3.
3 that had an elderly owner that either died or went to nursing home, and the family doesn't want them, so they turn them over to shelter. And then you have got a new boyfriend that doesn't like your dog, or you broke up with your boyfriend and you have his dog. Look, if your boyfriend don't like your dog, you need a new boyfriend. The dog is loyal. Your boyfriend might not be.
Yeah, that dog won't cheat on you.
That's it, exactly. And he don't care how late you come home.
Right, yeah.
He's glad to have you home.
Yep.
And then the other one that drives me nuts, and I think is the craziest thing I've ever heard, is we are going on vacation. Y'all, that's temporary. Like, you're coming back. We're going on vacation, so we can't keep our dog anymore.
Like, how long are you going on vacation?
Exactly.
For,
Like,
man?
are you leaving the country
Yeah.
for like
You gonna
ever?
live in Brazil? Like,
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. China, where they have meat trucks, you might want to leave your dog here. I don't know, but I don't get. I'm going on vacation. So, but I mean, you know, that's the statistics. I know Cherokee County. I looked it up before I left, and last year y'all had 3,800 animals impounded. Of those 3,800, only 436 were reclaimed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
So-
can't count how many times, like, when I'd go out to deliver furniture back a while ago. We go deliver furniture to people, and a lot of times the place I worked at, people were, you know, they weren't like super rich people. They were
Mhm.
lower income, stuff like that, and there would just be like dogs. Like, I'd go and deliver, and there'd be dogs like hunkered up under their car.
Yeah.
And I'd talk to them and be like, you know, like, what's going on with the puppies under your car? And they're like, oh, they're strays. We don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's like they're like not even a year old. And they're just, they're 2-3 little puppies, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, we just feed them and want them. We don't really know what to do. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I guess maybe people, they just like see a stray and they don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah. The best thing to do if you see a stray is, first thing you need to do is it depends on the county. In our county, in Lawrence County, if there's a stray, you have to call animal control. You have to. That's what our that's what our law is, or our ordinance. I don't know about Cherokee County. You could also take a picture and post it on Facebook. If you do pick it up, you can take a picture, post it on Facebook, give the owner time to claim it. You know, people post them on like a yard sale site, a community site, whatever, you know, you have. and then have people share it so that, the owner has a good chance. And if they're not reclaimed and you can't keep them, then try to find a rescue or a shelter that will take it. And the problem with that is, as I see it all the time, Georgia, like I said before, is so overrun. A lot of the animals and a lot of shelters have started doing this. They send the animals up north where they're more likely to get adopted because they don't have stray animal problems the way that we have them here.
I see.
So,
they have stricter laws though, right?
They do have stricter laws. Yes, most of them you have to have your animals spayed or neutered, and they kind of keep up with that. And a lot of times, if they can't, keep the animal or whatever, they're more vigilant there about trying to find the right home or finding a shelter that is a no-kill shelter. See, we don't have that luxury here because we don't have, laws are great, but if they're not enforced,
they're useless.
They're useless. And I know in Lawrence County, we don't have a law for spay and neuter, but I don't think it's that people wouldn't spay and neuter. I think it's more that they are so uneducated.
Well, I know
about the situation.
Yeah, I know for Mama it was a cost thing, and if I hadn't have known you and told her where to go, because I think she was saying the vet around there wanted like $200 or more to do it, and so she took it to Scott Bennett's rescue, and I think that was where it was, or it was somewhere in McRae.
No, that was Scott Bennett's rescue is in Glenwood.
Oh, okay.
So she took it to probably Rescue Ranch.
Yeah, that was
Rescue Ranch does a lot of good work. They are really trying to help our area. But see, the veterinarians, Rescue Ranch, they do like fundraisers and stuff, and I think they may get some grant money. I'm not sure exactly everything that they do there, but veterinarians don't have that luxury. They don't get grant money. They don't get, so they have to charge because they have their own expenses to cover. Oh, yeah. So, if you can't afford it, personally, I like to use my vet because that's who I know. I mean, it's just like your kid going to the doctor. You want to use your doctor. But if you can't afford it, the places like Rescue Ranch or like some of these discount spay and neuter clinics are a good option. I mean, they do it day in and day out, so they're pretty good at what they do, Yeah. So,
Mama did say they had a lineup there when she took her.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If more people would spay and neuter and be more vigilant, then we would, we'd be in a lot better shape. I just think that, I think that Georgia and some of the other southern states are so behind the ball on a lot of things, and I think that this is one of the things that we really need to work on. I mean, I think that you can kind of judge a society by the way that they treat their animals, and we're just failing. We're failing miserably, and I think that it's something that needs to be addressed and needs to be worked on.
Well, I don't think that people should be throwing puppies or kittens out in boxes and leaving them on the side of the road. And you see too many posts about that.
They do.
Especially down that way. Yeah. I mean, and that's something that's always bothered me. I mean, I know y'all do run into a lot of weird stuff and a lot of weird people. I mean, good and weird people. And I know, and I've seen you get hate messages.
Yeah, we do get some hate messages.
That's awful. What is it on Facebook, your email?
Yeah, we do through Instagram sometimes and Messenger. We had a lady tell us that she felt like it wasn't right to keep animals alive that were disabled, and that she would like to kill them all. We've had
one person texted you and was talking about they would like to adopt one of our dogs so they could stone it to death.
Yeah.
You have got to be
yeah, we've had people accuse us of taking people's money and using it for our own personal gain, but the people who donate to us, we have a small circle of people who donate regularly.
Yeah.
And I keep receipts, and I've always tell any of my donors, if you want to see receipts, I have no problem. We have a separate account for the animals, and it's expensive. They have to eat. We buy dog food by the pallet, and cat food by the pallet. They have to eat. They have veterinary medical needs. We have some that have allergies to wheat, so
you have to buy like special food.
Yeah,
for them,
I don't know if the price of a bag of non-GMO, no grain dog food is like $50 for a 30-pound bag. And we have, with the handicaps, we have puppy pads, we have diapers, we have things that we have to have.
Puppy pads. Listen, I feel you on puppy pads. We go through so many damn puppy pads. Yeah. It is ridiculous.
Yeah. And see, we have 3 that are in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
So they have to have puppy pads in their crates. They stay in crates. The other dogs are in, bigger pens or enclosures, or some of them stay inside and don't have to be confined to a crate. But when they're as debilitated as our wheelchair dogs are, they have to stay in. And it's, we have had a lot of hate mail. We've had some pretty mean things said to us, and people who have actually come after us, and reported us for animal cruelty because they think it's cruel, for them to live like that. But
that's a pretty happy face right there.
Yeah, that's Ralphie. We recently just got Ralphie. Ralphie,
also known as Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, we call him Colonel Sanders.
Oh man.
The lady that had him, she had him, I think she said 5 or 6 years. He actually was a rescue dog before he became disabled.
He's adorable, I just have to say.
Anyway, she decided that that they couldn't give him what he needed. He had back surgery. There was some kind of, I don't know exactly what happened, but anyway, he became disabled several months ago, and they kept him for a while. I will say, I do think that they did try. I don't think this was a case where they just gave up their dog. I think this was a case where they realized that what they were giving him was not what he needed. And that's fine. I mean, look, they're not for everybody. Handicapped dogs are not for everybody. We're fortunate enough that, we have donors, and,
it's good that people like you are out there,
Yeah. And my husband, he makes our bills. He pays our personal bills, and then we have donors that afford us the things that we need for the dogs. And one of us is always home,
right?
Me or my girls or Danny. And so they do have around the clock care. And when we go somewhere, vacations are rare for us. But if we do, we actually have a girl, her name is Dee, and she comes and she looks after the animals while we're gone.
But Brandy doesn't, I know, at least when I was with her, she doesn't get a lot of minutes to herself without community reaching out to her. I mean, I can't tell you, and I was just with her for 24 to 48 hours of just people like, hey, I got this puppy and it's got this problem, or hey, my dog fell today and it's limping, or I mean, it is constant. It's a constant.
But I don't mind people. If I get too overrun, I just turn my phone off for a little bit. But
sometimes you just got to switch off.
Right. But I don't mind being available, because it's important.
Well, I mean, I just say that to say that, he said it was good that people like you were out there doing stuff like that. But I'm saying, as far as, you have been invaluable to people to give them advice. And
that's cool that you do that, because you could be like, listen, I've got dogs and animals to take care of. I don't have time to talk to you, but you're like, you listen to them and you respond to them. And
well, I've always said, I feel like we as animal lovers, especially in the area that I live in, we have to kind of stick together. I mean, because, they don't have a voice.
Right.
You know, and so we are the only voice that they have. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't mind being there. You know, if somebody needs something, they got a question, if I can answer it. You know, sometimes I can't answer the question. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you need a veterinarian. But, you know, if I can answer the question or I can help, you know, I'm more than happy to help. But, yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I love it. I absolutely love every single animal that we have. And here I'm getting emotional again because I get emotional about my children. But anyway. That's Incho right there. He came from Bulgaria. A friend
story
of
really is amazing.
Yeah, he had a pretty rough life. Bulgaria, their animal rights are not like ours are, really.
Right.
And vets are really reluctant to do anything for handicapped animals over there.
So they're pretty much like, if they see something like that, they're like, yeah, you need to euthanize it.
Yeah, but he was a stray. He lived with no wheelchair in a pretty bad situation, like as a stray for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, and he was taken into a shelter. My friend on Instagram, and she's been a very good friend, and she actually has helped me a little bit with some questions that I had when I first started out with the wheelchair dogs. Her name's Madeline. And she has a dog. They're on Instagram. I think their name is Rolly Beano. Her dog's name is Beano, and he's adorable. But anyway, she actually was on Instagram showing Incho, saying, you know, that he needed a home, he needed help. And so anyway, I started talking to her, and I don't know what it was about Incho, but it was almost immediate. Like when I saw Incho, I knew that he needed to be with us. I don't really, it's one of those things you can't explain. But anyway, we contacted the shelter there. They worked with us, and then we had to raise the money to have him sent over here, and it was almost $3,000 that had to be raised to get him here.
And then they gave you the hardest time at the airport.
Oh my goodness, it was a nightmare at the airport. But we had never had a dog imported before.
Yeah, it's like you're transporting drugs or something.
Yeah, that's what they act like. I'm like, dude, because he was like, customs, they make you have a broker if you're importing a dog for resale. Well, we're not importing this dog for resale.
Right.
So we didn't think we needed a broker, but Atlanta says you have to have a broker anyway. Atlanta airport says you have to have, and I'm like, it's a dog in a wheelchair. We're not going to be reselling this dog. Like, yeah. He's not, you know, he's like, well, how much did you pay for the dog? I'm like, I didn't pay for the dog. This is not, you know, but anyway, make a long story short, we spent how long in the airport?
I think it was about 4 hours.
Long.
Yeah. like 4 to 6 hours at the airport.
Man.
But anyway, I got some donors together, and they all donated, and I had one lady in particular who's become a pretty close friend of mine. She Bonnie, she donated the bulk of the money to get Incho here. And he had some adjustment to do. He really did. When he got here, he really I don't think he understood English.
Yeah, he's barking in Bulgarian.
Yeah, my husband says he's got a chip, but but he is a funny dude. Like him and Bobby Lee. Bobby will have to really tell you about his personality, but him and Bobby Lee just hit it off. I mean, it was like immediately he took to her. He was really untrusting of us, but you know, Bobby is kind of the ambassador.
Yeah,
you know, at the sanctuary, she when they come in, from the time they come to the sanctuary, you know, she's immediately hands-on with them. I guess they don't see her as a threat, maybe because she's smaller. She makes them feel comfortable, and I mean, it's amazing.
They're like, I could take you, so I feel good.
Yeah, like it's amazing to see what she can do with them. Really, I mean, she can. You know?
Oh yeah, you have a lot of pictures on your Instagram with Bobby with the horses and the mule and
the horses really they do take to her, and I think it is because she's so tiny.
Yeah.
Like,
they're like, oh, you're so cute. Look at you.
Do horses think we're cute?
I don't know that they think we're cute. I think that they're like human slave. I need food now.
That's kind of
I thought that was cats.
Bring me hay.
Oh, well, they're the same. Look, horses are basically like cats in big form.
Really?
Yeah.
Tapani, that's like a dog to me. He's all up in
Tapani is a cool looking horse.
Yeah, he is. He was on the slaughter lot when we got him. But yeah, Bobby, she lost her horse earlier this year. I think it was a little rough. She had a pretty bad hip injury when we got her that we were unaware of, and so
what's bad about horses is like a lot of people, especially out west and whatnot, if there's something wrong with a horse, at least what I've seen,
there's almost an overpopulation of horses like there is dogs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You would be shocked, and I encourage anybody who, wants to get a horse or whatever, get one that somebody's trying to get rid of. Don't go out and spend a lot of money to buy one. Find one that needs a home, because they end up at the slaughter lots.
Right. You don't need like an Arabian purebred horse.
Well, there are, though. That's the thing. There are purebred horses with papers.
Right.
At the slaughter lots. And you wouldn't think that there would be, but there is.
Tapani is an original bloodline of the Appaloosa.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And he's, he's a beautiful horse, and you don't always come across that, but a lot of times if you just want a trail horse, you can go on there and find something that's awesome.
Y'all they share them all the time. Mm-hmm. Even those little mini horses I see.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have one that's adorable. An actual demon. Like he is actually a demon.
Is this the one you're talking to me about?
No.
That thinks he's like a big horse, but he's not a big horse?
He's not.
Oh my, she was telling me.
You see her? This is what I'm talking about. Like, she thinks all of the animals are sweet. She's like, no, they're not. They're wonderful.
I don't think all of them are sweet. I'm just saying, you're not nice to him like you should be.
Okay, I'm not nice to him because he tries to eat me.
He tries to eat you?
Yeah,
he bites.
He bites.
He don't like the
that
persona.
sounds painful, man.
Do what?
He don't like the persona that you put on.
You're putting off a bad vibe, Brandy.
I got bad vibes. I got bad horse vibes.
Only to that little one, not to the other ones. Well, he bit Tapani when y'all went to.
So y'all want to hear this story?
Yeah. He bit another animal, right?
Well.
And that's
okay. So
he bit a lot of stuff.
We went
a lot of stuff.
He did. Savannah, bless her heart. Now, Savannah, she like I said before, she does a lot of the heavy lifting at the sanctuary. She really, I look after the really debilitated animals, and mostly the dogs, and then Savannah and Bobby. Bobby Lee kind of deals with the chickens and the ducks, and she's been helping with the horses, but Savannah, she does the heavier stuff, the horses and the pigs, and she does mess with the cats, our handicapped cats. But so we went to pick up these horses that we bought off a slaughter lot, and donors paid for their fees. The donors got together and paid their fees to get them off the slaughter lot. And
I just want to say, the first go round we had with the slaughter lot was so easy. We went to the slaughter lot. They brought the horses to us, put them on the trailer for us, and we went back home. It was it's just easy and enjoyable. It was really nice. It was nice.
Okay, so we're going to North Texas.
Like the second time.
So we're going to North Texas. A friend of mine let me borrow a horse trailer. Like I said, donors had paid for them, paid for their boarding. They had been in boarding for 30 days.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you have to board them. You have to quarantine them.
Right.
You just bring them and mix them with your other horses. They got stuff that's kind of communicable too. So it's 28 degrees and raining. Yeah. And so we pull into this really small, and this is a rescue, but it's a small area. She's got several horses. I think there was a lot of horses there, that she was, quarantining for other people. We back into the gates, and the yard is pretty small. You have to kind of lead them around a round pen to get them to the trailer. So these are horses we've never handled before. We don't know nothing about them. And if it's one thing that makes me nervous, because I'm not generally a horse person, a 1,200-pound animal on a string, that I don't know makes me a little nervous. And when you're nervous, that vibe goes right up the lead rope. I mean, it does.
They literally can like sense if you're scared.
Oh yeah,
they know.
They know. So we get there, and we're supposed to pick up Tapani, who is our big Appaloosa.
Right.
We're supposed to pick up Tesla, who is the mini horse.
The demon horse?
The demon horse.
Okay.
And
Eddie. But we didn't know he was a demon horse at the time.
Right.
He looked so sweet in the
And
pictures.
I should have known, because when I talked to Diana, the girl who was quarantining them for me, she was like, yeah, Tesla likes to be the boss. And I'm like, oh, okay, he likes to be the boss.
All right.
So anyway, and Eddie, who is the donkey. So we get to Pawnee and we lead him to the trailer. He loads up. He's a little nervous, or whatever. But we put him on one side of the trailer, and then we got this divider. So we get Tesla.
Wait, no, we do.
No, we got Eddie first.
Eddie was a little difficult.
Yeah, Eddie didn't.
That's the donkey.
The donkey.
Yeah, the donkey.
Yeah, he never walked on a lead rope before.
Right.
So we're pulling and we're heaving and we're pushing and he just ain't going nowhere.
He's just like, what do you?
He's like, no, I'm not doing it. So we finally, after about 3 hours in the rain,
God.
and it's muddy. I mean, it's muddy.
It's like 28 degrees.
28 degrees, raining, muddy, and poop, horse poop.
You're just like sliding in.
You
horse
are
poop.
literally. So we finally get the donkey on the trailer. Okay, so the donkey's on the trailer, and Savannah gets Tesla.
First thing he does is try to attack another horse through the quarantine.
And not just any
fence.
horse, it's a Clydesdale. Like he runs up to a Clydesdale, and he's like, he's like, yeah, and he's like bowed up, like turning off sideways, like, yeah, you see me?
He's making aggressive.
You want some of
noises.
this, Yeah, and he's like little, but he's like rearing up, like.
It's like the Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, it is
horses.
like it's hilarious because he's literally like a 3-year-old on crack. Like he is just like going crazy. So Savannah has him, and she's just kind of holding him, looking at him because he's small, So she's holding him.
I'm used to Clydesdales and just really big horses.
Yeah,
and
she's
he's
just
so
kind of
little.
holding the lead rope, looking at him like, what is he doing? So she's she
man.
tries to pull him, and he runs up and tries to bite her.
Like, what are you doing, woman?
And she's like, whoa, now, So they go around the round pen, and they're going towards the trailer, and he's showing out, and he's bucking and he's slinging his head, and we're kind of laughing at him, because like he's not.
You're like, you're tiny.
Yeah, he's like not pulling. It's literally like a dog, like acting crazy on a leash, So she gets him and she's leading him on the trailer. Well, when she leads him up on the trailer,
I mean, he gets on there pretty easy.
He
for the most
gets
part.
on there. He bites the donkey.
No, I'm going to shut the gate during this time.
Yeah. She's going to shut. She's going to shut the gate.
All right.
He bites the donkey.
Mm-hmm.
The donkey kicks. It kicks the divider. Tapani's back legs slip off the back of the trailer. He picks his legs back up and then full force, whoosh, kicks the back of the kicks the gate. One hoof hits Savannah in the stomach. The other hoof hits the gate. And I don't know if you've ever seen a cuttlefish, but you know how they like pulsate through the water like this. Savannah literally folded in half. She was like, whoo, like she flew, like I'm telling you, like 5 feet, and landed in a pile of horse poop and mud. And then she slid.
Oh.
The donkey shoots off the trailer. Tesla's right behind him. Tapani's acting crazy. Savannah stands up I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
And the girl, horse. I mean,
the girl that was up there,
through the air.
yeah, and the girl that was, that was through the place,
dead.
she was like, oh my God,
Is she dead?
Savannah gets up. This is how tough this girl is.
Yeah.
She gets up. She's got, poop and mud, just all. She does her face. She grabs her hands and she rubs it down her face. That's right here. And she slings her hands like that. And she was like, "Where's he at?"
Where's Tesla at?
I go ahead and close the gate because I was like, I don't want the other horse to get off. She runs up to Tapani. She grabs him by the Tesla. She runs up to Tesla, the little mini horse. He's running around out there where she grabs the lead rope and she snatches it. And he's like, oh, she's mad. And she starts dragging him to the thing.
Because he wouldn't walk.
No, he wouldn't walk. So she's dragging him to the trailer.
Right.
And on the horse trailer, there's this little side door that opens. It's called an escape door. So when you're tying your horses, you can walk out the side.
Yeah.
She pulls him over there. She grabs him by the back of his head and his butt and throws him in the side door and slams the door. And she looks at me. She's like, let's go.
It's time to leave.
It was the funniest thing. I mean,
I can't believe you picked up that damn horse.
She did. It was like, I couldn't believe she picked it up either because, like, he's really heavy. I was like,
got that
man,
adrenaline pumping.
like
mad.
superhuman strength for a
I'm
minute.
covered in horse poo.
She's the Hulk.
Yeah.
I didn't hurt until the next day, and when I took my clothes off to take a bath, I was
Did you have
bruised.
like a?
Did you have a
have like a
huge bruise?
horse?
She had
I
a
was
hoof.
bruised from one end to the other. I was just blue.
Did you have like a horse print?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Like a
did.
hoof? Ouch. Yikes.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. I've never seen somebody fold up and fly like that. Though it was almost in slow motion. She's like,
It's like a movie.
yeah,
You
it
know,
was. It was the craziest thing.
I think honestly, the gate hurt more than the horse did.
All I heard was it, wham, and then she was like,
Well, how has he been, Tesla, since he's been with you guys?
he was horrible the first 6 months. We're coming up on a year now that
Until-
we've had him.
I
Until
just
Bobby
gotta
Lee
say,
got a hold of him.
Bobby's the one
Yeah.
that actually did everything. With
How
him.
did you do it, Bobby?
The horse
Tell
whisperer.
us your secret. I think it's treats.
Oh my gosh!
Is it treats?
No, y'all put off a bad vibe.
I actually have this video when we first got him. Bobby Lee, he's so cute. He's one of the cutest animals I've ever seen. But she's got this cup of just horse treats, and she walks up to Tesla. She's calling him, and he walks over there, and she gives him a treat. And she's like, "You like the treat?" She pats him on the head, and he's eating it, and she reaches to get another one, and he just bites her on the arm. So that's how he was.
She's resilient though. She comes back. She comes back for more.
I mean, he lets me love on him. I don't know what y'all do. to
Yeah,
him.
he lets him. Yeah, he does. He lets her love on him and pet him now, and the rest of us we can pet his head.
About as far as you go.
Yeah, you don't go no further than
Well, it's
that.
good you have it's like different personalities clash with just like humans, you know?
It is. It
So you
is.
have different personalities, and some animals are like, I don't like you. I don't like you.
Mhm.
You're okay. I think I'll deal
Yeah.
with you, you know?
Yeah, and Savannah has a dog that is very difficult and came to us because he was difficult, and he drives all of us crazy. But he loves her. I mean, he loves her.
It's my baby.
Do you think, and is this the one is this dog, it's got like the kind of violent, a little bit of violent type stuff? Is that what you're saying when it's aggressive or something?
No, he's not aggressive. He has high anxiety.
Okay.
He's never bit a person. Anything smaller than him, he'll pick it up and run off with it. He has
The only thing we really have an issue with is anything under the size of a cat.
He'll just grab it and run.
He just
he wants.
It's terrible.
Yeah, he.
Does he like want to eat it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
We keep him separated.
yeah. We keep him. I mean, you know, and it's one of those things where when we leave the house, we have to make sure.
You got to tie things down.
Yeah,
so he doesn't-
it takes us really when we get to go somewhere. It takes us about 2 hours to get prepared to leave the house,
Lord.
even if we're leaving for 20 minutes.
Right.
I mean, we have to really make sure everything and everybody is where they need to be to, to keep anybody from being where they shouldn't be or being in contact with one they don't get along with. Or, I mean,
It's
It's
crazy.
a commitment.
It's crazy
it
to
is
think
a commitment.
about how many you got. Okay, well, this horse doesn't like being around this dog, and these
Yeah.
two dogs hate everybody,
Right.
and then this cat is, likes this other
Yeah.
cat, but it hates this cat, but this cat likes that cat. So you got to.
Yeah.
It's you're like, we just
And
want to go out and have a burger, man. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've really been really fortunate. Most of our animals get along.
Yeah.
There are a few that we have to separate out.
Yeah.
We've got one that's crazy and on Prozac. And she was sitting on top of her.
Oh,
pen
that was
yesterday.
weird.
Dog, cat.
It's a dog. It's a pit bull.
Oh.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah.
She just never
Beautiful
had
dog.
any training as a puppy.
Yeah,
And she's
A little wild, huh?
She's
Is that
killed
pink?
multiple animals. We've had, that's why she's with us. And
Are you talking about Pink?
no, we're talking
Pink.
about Stacy.
I
Stacy.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that one.
Yeah, we have a going joke that in the 80s, every girl's name was Stacy and every guy's name was Chad. So
Yeah.
Like the abusive
the
boyfriend.
abusive boyfriend. We're like, Stacy,
Yeah.
get in the car, Stacy.
Where's Chad at? It's like, I know Chad did some horrible
Yeah.
things to you,
Chad's
Stacey. It's
gonna
okay.
come kick your butt. Get in the car, Stacy. So like we yelled at her so much that we named her Stacy. Like Stacy. But weird stuff happens on the farm constantly. Dear. So like we walk out the door. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, we were walking the 2 dogs from Kuwait.
Yeah, we're walking the 2 dogs from Kuwait yesterday, and we walked down the driveway with them. We
pass our aggressive dog kennels.
They haven't learned to be off leash yet.
Yeah.
So we're still working with them. We've only had them about 3 to 6 months, something like that.
I don't think it was even.
It's not. It was what, in June or July that we went?
It was June.
Okay. July, August.
Yeah, it's
September,
like 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
So anyway, we're walking the dogs, and Savannah, Savannah comes inside. I was doing something. I think I was squeezing bladders.
I knew that she wasn't going to believe this. I was like, Mom.
Yeah, look, some mornings I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm squeezing bladders thinking, what am I doing with my life?
Like, I got to make this dog pee.
just pee, please.
Anyway, me and Bobby Lee were walking Charlie and Victor, and we're walking down our really long driveway, and we pass the aggressive dogs are separated.
Yeah.
In kennels. They have their own individual kennels outside away from everybody else. And Charlie looks up over towards those kennels, and he looks back at me and goes to run back to the house.
The sun goes out.
What are you doing? Because he just got out of his crate. I was like, you should be outside. I walked forward, and Stacy's just sitting on top of her kennel, just looking around. What were you about to say?
She's spacey. That's all I want to say.
And so we've got her on Prozac. Yeah, we've got her on Prozac
she
now.
just
so
watches
she is.
I didn't even know that a dog could be on Prozac. That's crazy. Like, where do you're like, my dog needs a psychotropic. Like, how do you?
Well, if you take that dog to the vet, they will know that they need a. I mean, she is crazy.
I mean, they know that she needs to be on.
Yeah. There's no mistaking it. But I went inside and I told
Do they make a special brand, or is it the same thing you give to humans?
I think they just like lower the dose or something, right?
Okay, animals they metabolize things differently than we do, so the dosages are different. Yeah, so yeah, Pfizer actually makes a lot of the animal medications just like for humans, but the dosage is different. You know, and some medications are strictly animal medications, and some are strictly human medications. So
that is so neat. Like, I didn't know. I mean, like, you think about all the people that are on Prozac. Now we've rubbed off so bad it's on the animals now. The animals are like, oh, these people, I need a Prozac.
I have a question. How did the dog get on top of the kennel?
I don't know. I really don't. I'm confused.
Aliens.
You should have seen the
aliens. The AIs.
She was literally like, so the girls come in and they're like, Mama.
I told her, I was like, you're not gonna believe what Stacy's doing. And Mom was like, oh my God, what's she doing? Does she have somebody? I was like, no, she's sitting on top of her kennel.
She has somebody in her jaws.
And she comes outside, and Stacy is like facing out towards the pigs, but she's like looking up in the sky. She's sitting
on the bar.
She's sitting on the bar of her kennel.
On the bar of a kennel like some kind of weird,
like a tightrope walker,
like some kind of weird gargoyle. I don't know.
And there's like a butterfly, and she's just watching the butterfly.
I was like, what?
Is this before or after the Prozac?
She's on Prozac.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's probably like, pretty butterfly.
Is this a daily thing, or is this?
No. This just happened. Like, weird stuff happens. All the time.
No, I mean, is the Prozac a daily?
Oh yes, every day.
And how do you get your dog to take? How do you know that your dog? I mean, if you're just a regular person, you go to the shelter, you pick up a dog, say you have a connection with it, and things start to happen. Is it just because things start to happen, or
if you come home and part of your front door is missing? Because your dog no I'm serious because your dog has anxiety when you leave, then your dog probably needs Prozac. If your dog injures itself because it gets so worked up over something like a thunderstorm, then your dog probably needs some kind of medication when it storms. I mean,
oh my God, our dogs go nuts when it is thundering. It's like thundering and they're like, did you just hear that? Oh shit! Oh God!
Well, see, that's pretty common.
Okay,
but we had Pink, my bulldog that stays inside.
That's the one that murdered somebody, right?
No, somebody tried to break in. That did not work out well.
Not for that person.
I'm just saying, if the person that tried to break in my house is listening to this, I'm so sorry that my dog almost killed you.
Do not apologize to that
You kind of had it coming.
Yeah,
Amen.
you shouldn't have been trying to come in. I mean, I'm sorry, but
She told me it doesn't bark.
I hope you made
Pink
it.
doesn't make a noise.
I hope you made it to the hospital.
All I'm saying is it's like a scary movie because you open the door and it's probably dark because you left, and then all of a sudden you just see this pit bull. It was a pit bull, right?
I don't think they ever seen her.
She has such a sweet
all of a
face.
sudden you just open the door and then you're like,
she does. She's got these.
ow, my leg
When her
hurts.
when her teeth are out, does she have a sweet? I mean,
Yeah, she
She's
looks so sweet.
while she's attacking you?
Yeah. She's never attacked any of us.
No, I didn't. I know she didn't. I know that she's doing her job protecting her home.
You
her
gotta tell
territory.
us, when you came home that day, what, set the scene. You know what I mean?
So Pink has the reason Pink is with us is Pink was thrown from a vehicle. The Humane Society in our area brought her to the clinic where I worked. She had a broken hip. And they, like so many humane societies, they have to be very, very, they have to be very picky about where their money goes. So the surgery to fix that hip would have been around $500. So they didn't have $500. And I have a thing for bulldogs. I love bulldogs. They're my favorite breed. I saw her and I saw Achilles, and so I was like, I want to take this dog, is it possible for me to adopt this dog? So I adopted her. And, Dr. Bars, told me some things to do, and I want to say he done the surgery. And, we got donations, to cover it. Did we get donations to cover it, Savannah, or did we pay for it out of pocket? I think we paid for it
out of pocket because that was before we.
Yeah, we paid for it out of pocket because he, like I said before, vets have their own. They have stuff they have to pay for. So, generally, most vets, it's difficult for them to float any expenses,
right?
Because they have so much overhead. We he done the surgery for me and we paid for it out of pocket, and we had her for about 3 months, and we didn't realize that she had an anxiety problem, and we left home one day and it was thundering and lightning, and we came home and she had tore a hole in the wall from the light switch down.
Straight through the drywall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we were like, okay, so we put her in a crate. She does not like crates. She injured herself trying to get out of a crate. I think, did she poke a hole in her throat? Was it?
Oh
my God.
The only way that we could keep her, we set up a kennel in our very back room, and another abuse case that we had gotten, Crockett. They were basically kennel buddies. They were very attached to each other, and she would only stay in that kennel if Crockett was in there with her.
So, Crockett that's another whole story that's very difficult. It's bad. But anyway, so we left her home again, and we did not realize that she had an issue. When it's thundering, she's crazy. And she actually, was it a cat she killed?
She killed a cat, and she's killed several goats.
Yeah, she killed a cat, and she killed some of our farm animals.
Jeez.
Yeah, but the sweetest dog you would never know.
She loves people. She loves kids.
Yeah. So anyway, that's basically how we realized that we realized like something's wrong.
Right.
This is not normal behavior. And so we talked to, I talked to the vets that I work with, and they finally told me, she probably needs to be on something.
Yeah.
And so, now she's on a medication that she takes. She only takes it when it's thundering or when usually I give it to her, the 4th of July, when they're going to be firing off firecrackers and stuff, we go ahead and give it to her because we know, so, that's how you know. Something actually, generally you can tell something's not right. They get really shaky, really upset, really worked up, tear up stuff, that kind of thing, then they have an anxiety problem. So, and then Stacy, we knew she was whacked when she came to us, so we just went ahead and, you know, tried to. I mean, bless her heart, she loves people, but
we can tell you're whacked out. You'll fit right in.
It's gotten to the point where we can just look at them and be like, yeah,
you're crazy.
Medication.
Yep, you're crazy.
You probably need this. We're going to talk to your vet. So,
I mean, I guess you just have to kind of have that you get that intuition as you work with the animals.
Yeah,
longer.
you kind of you know, and like I said before, I learned a lot from Dr. Frary when I was working at the Humane Society, and I learned a lot from Dr. Hall, and they both Dr. Frary has passed away now, but Dr. Hall still practices some, but I remember Dr. Hall and Dr. Smalley both, they could walk into a room and look at this animal, and within about 5 to 10 minutes, they would have an idea of what was going on with that dog. They weren't 100% right all the time, but I say 8 times out of 10,
yeah,
they were right. You know, they had a good intuition about what was going on, but they've been in it for years. And so as you're around them, yeah, you start to see it. You know,
what's the most common thing that you see with? I mean, that most people are going to have issues with when it comes to like just a regular family pet.
I think anxiety probably, and then another thing is behavioral issues like barking or jumping up. I tell everybody this: don't let your dog do anything when it's a puppy that you don't want it to do when it gets grown, because it might be cute for your 4-pound Great Dane puppy to sit in your lap, but that is not going to be cute when he's 120 pounds. You know, it might be cute that he's jumping up on your kid, dancing with him, so to speak, right now. But when he's 120 pounds and your kid's only 3 years old, that's not going to be fun. That's not going to be good, So anything that you don't want your dog to do, when it's grown, don't let it do it when it's young.
It'll be like an elephant sitting on a mongoose.
Yeah. But as far as mental problems, stuff like that, the biggest thing is, anxiety. And anxiety a lot of times is the dog's not getting enough exercise. It's not getting enough stimulation. Some dogs, especially like border collie type breeds, stuff like that, they're really smart. So you can't just shut them up in a pen all day. Like, they have to have something to do.
But that's what they were bred to do. A lot of those dogs.
Yeah. Well, that's that's the problem now. I mean, there's this whole thing, and I know we talked about it before, but with 101 Dalmatians, that happened. There was an overflow of Dalmatians with the Air Bud movies. It was golden retrievers. You see it with Belgian Malinois now because they have movies with them in it, or their military dogs.
Like Game of Thrones syndrome.
Yeah. Then you have the Game of Thrones syndrome where you have huskies and wolf dogs and stuff like that. So, I mean, make sure when you're thinking about a pet that pet fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, don't just buy it because you watched a TV show and you're like, hey, I want that.
You
want
like
a dire
the way it
wolf
looks
in my front yard.
Yeah. And we've had some experience with wolf dogs, and I can tell y'all right now, they're illegal to have in Georgia, but they are not like a dog. They are not a pet. I mean, lower contents might be considered a pet, but you are not going to get something that's going to cuddle with you on your couch. It's going to eat your couch.
That's right.
And it's going to jump your 6-foot fence you have. So, and it's probably going to eat your neighbor's cat. You just
Keep
need to make sure.
Away.
Yeah. And small children. So you need to make sure that you're doing research on your breed, but main thing is, and I tell people that with handicapped animals too, dogs just want to be dogs. I think as people, we tend to want to make our animals people, and they're not people.
Right.
They're just animals. They're just dogs. They like people. I hear people say, "Oh, I hate leaving. I don't think it's right to leave them in a crate." It's not right to leave them in a crate 24 hours a day. But dogs do like small spaces when they sleep. That's why your dog gets under your chair. That's why your dog finds the smallest corner it can and curls up in it.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times that crate becomes their safe space.
Comforting to them.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with putting your dog in a crate for, you know, a few hours, you know, and it's better than them running loose, you know, and then
destroying your house.
And a lot of times dogs are pack animals. They like to have other dogs around, you know.
Yeah.
But if you don't socialize them with the dogs when they're young, you're going to have a dog that you can't have any other dogs around when you get older. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot to think about, but I mean, the biggest thing is when you get an animal, whether it's a cat or a dog, people need to realize that it's a commitment. It's not something that you can throw away.
Yeah.
It's not a 4-wheeler.
Well, I know we talked about earlier, one of the main reasons people get rid of their pets is because they're going to have a baby. So Matt's about to have a baby. And they have pets. How do you get your pets ready for?
You do a lot.
Is there steps that you can take to kind of?
Yeah, you can. One thing that I would do is I would have them around some children. I'd have some children over.
We do. My niece and nephew.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. The cats are cool. They're just they kind of do whatever they want. They're kind of scared, I guess you could say, of children. So they just stay away from them. We've got a little teacup chihuahua, and she is like, she just wants you to just pet her.
Yeah.
And she'll just sit in your lap and just lick you to death. That's the worst thing she's going to do is like lick you. Peanut, he's the chewiener. Yeah. I think he's good with them because he grew up with them, but he's just like he's literally epitome of a grumpy ass old man.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
He's older too.
Yeah, he's 16 years old.
Yeah,
now.
so you have to he's like geriatrics, you know. I mean
he'll literally be sitting there, you know, and he's kind of looking at something, and you like go down to pet him, and like your hand comes over here, and he's like, "Whoa, what the hell was that?" You know, and I'm just like, "It's calm down." So I don't want my son to like, you know, because babies don't know. They're just gonna be like, "Hey," and try to pet it, and he's probably gonna bite him.
You're probably gonna have to, with that situation, you're probably gonna have to kind of, you know, separate. You know, like, you know, if he's that age, I don't want to sound like morbid, but at that age, you know, by the time your son's up walking, he's probably not.
He's probably gonna pass away.
Be passed away anyway. So, but you can take baby stuff and like kind of lay it around. You know, let them smell it. Let them know that something's changing. You know,
right. We do have a regular Chihuahua, and her name's Baby, and that's like my wife's. She's had her since she was like a little teeny puppy.
Yeah, and she's probably going to be jealous then.
Yes.
So you know,
she's the type of dog like if the water bowl's down on the ground, she's just like sitting over here in the corner, just like watching the water bowl. She doesn't want any water, but as soon as one of the cats or the dogs go over the water, she's just like, "I'm watching you, and then she'll just you know, like my water, mother, you know.
Yeah, so she's gonna have to try to. Your wife will have to try to include her somehow. You know, like let her sit.
Kind of like have the baby and the dog together to show like.
Well, like if she's sitting on the couch with the baby, let her sit up there. You know.
Okay.
You know, let her sniff the baby or whatever. You know, you're gonna have to watch it, but you know, like I said, let her in the baby's room. Let her walk around in there. Let her sit in there when your wife's in there with the baby. Let her sit in there. You know,
because I mean, we were never like, no matter what, we're not gonna get rid of the dogs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If it does turn into the problem, then you'll have to you know, you'll have to do something like put a baby gate up or something like that where they can't, you know, have access. But
that's probably what we'll do. I mean, we have baby gates up for the dogs anyways to not get into like the kitchen and stuff because they like to root through the trash apparently.
Yeah. I think that's.
I'm sure you guys,
Yeah.
Like
we have a big trash can with a pop down lid.
We've had to put it on a top of a chair.
Yeah.
You know, trash can on top of a chair and have baby gates.
Yeah.
And still somehow I don't understand how, but
look, when you got animals, strange things happen in your house.
Because us, it's completely different. Like the dogs don't mess with the trash, but Spencer will karate kick.
Her 3-legged cat.
That's the
3-legged cat.
Is this the one up here?
Yeah, that's Spencer.
He is a holy terror.
That is my child.
Cats are manipulative too.
Oh,
man.
he is, honey.
He's a baby.
He's not a baby.
He's a baby.
No, he's not.
He's a sweet.
He's your baby.
Now
I
remember y'all had to have his leg amputated. Didn't you?
Yeah.
He had been hit by a car.
As a little kid.
Yeah, little bitty kid.
Little.
A vet that I actually went to high school with, he amputated the leg, and they called me and asked me if I would take him because they really didn't have anywhere for him to go afterwards, you know.
And at the time, my older cat had just passed away,
Yeah.
and Mom was like, "Do you want him?" And I told her I didn't want him until I seen a picture of
She's
him.
like,
and
"No,
was
I don't
like,
want him." She still wasn't sure. We went on New Year's. It was New Year's Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was New Year's. No, it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
because they were closed.
Yeah, he met us up there, and we got him. And she was like, "I don't want him. I don't want him." And she picks up the carrier, and she's like, "He's so cute." And so he's
terrible.
He is.
He's a horrible animal. I love him, but he's
listen to us talking to him about him, but he's spoiled, I guess, is what the problem is. He's not a bad cat. He's just spoiled.
He just feels like he deserves to be treated.
He demands attention.
Right.
Like if he wants to be petted, especially by you, he don't like her, but he aggravates her anyway. He will get on the bed and screech, just squeal.
Yeah, and he's
really?
he's one of the animals that has learned that his disability like makes people feel bad for him. So
when
we have
he milks
company,
it.
When we have company,
he walks around perfectly at home, but we have company. He gets down and he just limps. And then he falls over.
He's like, "Look at me, I only have
He'll
3
fall
legs."
over.
And he will just, again, squeal. He's learned that crying like a baby gets him attention because people think he's in pain.
Yeah, literally, he'll get right at their feet.
Cats.
He'll like hobble over to their feet, and then he lays upside down. He's like, "Ah," and people, "Oh my goodness,
You poor little child.
he's got 3 legs. Are you sure he's not hurt?" And they're picking him up, holding him like a baby. And he's like, "Ah." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, really,
Bro, really?"
He's
like,
Tom,
really?
yeah, Tom, they're gone. He's like, "Yeah, leave me alone.
No more, no more attention. All right, I'm done. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So-
like you told me a story about a lady whose dog did that too.
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I love that dog.
Yes. He came in the clinic. I'm not gonna call names because I don't know. But anyway, anyway, he comes into the clinic and he has a broken leg, and he had to have the leg amputated. So the whole time he's at the clinic, like he is just hollering, he's carrying on. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, he is in pain," you know.
Yeah,
and you know, the vets are like, "Well, we've gave him like all the pain medicine we can give him," you know. Like, "Oh, he's so pitiful." You take him outside and he's hollering and he's laying down. It's awful. So
yeah, I wouldn't touch him. I had to call. I was so scared that he acted like he was just
yeah,
dying.
and so the woman comes to pick him up, and I get him out there, and he's hollering, he's carrying on, and she's like, because she had been to visit him since he had his leg amputated, because he stayed at the clinic for a while, and she's like, "Oh, he's just being over dramatic," and she looks over there, and she's like, "Will you stop that?" And he stops, and he sits up and looks at her, and she said, "You quit acting like that. Come on." And he gets up and walks right out the door. And I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, I have been babying him the whole time." And he's like,
"I gotcha."
Yeah, he wasn't really that bad off. They
man.
milk it.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird because you don't think about animals doing stuff like that. But I guess can any animal do that? From your horses to your goats to your pigs, do they ever do things that you think? Or even your little chickens. I know you got chickens too.
Bobby Lee's chickens worship her. She's the chicken.
It's really weird.
She's the chicken queen.
When she lets them out of the coop, they won't go
They walk up
forage. They all gather around her and just stare at her.
You know what it makes me think about? The
Like,
claw.
what shall we do,
It makes
Miss
me
Chicken
It makes me
Queen?
think about the claw. You know, the claw.
Yeah.
Off of Toy Story.
The claw. And like all the aliens
He
worshiping.
decides who goes.
I don't know, each one of them do something different to get personality, not personality, to get attention. Henry, he he brays the mule. He brays until somebody goes over there and pets
Well, I
him.
do. Do your chickens make good eggs because you're such a good chicken queen? Do they produce a lot of eggs?
We have one hen that produces eggs. The other ones are really young.
Okay.
They're just now getting to where they'll be.
I need to know. Do you play them some music like some Old Town Road?
No, it is. She doesn't, but it is. Animals do like music certain times.
Well, I need her to do me a case study here. Yeah. I need you to start playing some music for your animals, Bobby.
I know. Trouble if you don't.
I know.
I didn't mention any names. I'm trying to get Bobby to tell me some stuff about chickens here.
I don't know what you want me to tell you.
I don't know. I'm interested in chickens myself here.
You're gonna get you 3 chickens.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, she's thinking maybe getting some chickens from a Tractor Supply or something.
Yeah, like for $1 and hiding them in your room.
I'm not hiding them. I don't have to hide anything. I want a chicken coop. I seen somebody selling one for like $100 the other day, a nice one. And they have them up at the school. Actually, Millie and Marley's school and Maddie's school now, they have chickens up there, and they try to sell the eggs. Well, I tell you what, they want $5 for 12 eggs.
Oh wow,
I was like,
that's a lot.
They're
organic.
Well, they're cage free, but they're in that. I mean, they're in the coop thing, and they can be considered cage free if they have so much room to run. I looked it up, and the chickens are treated really well. I'll give them that. And the chicken feed is expensive, but $5.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we hope eventually. That's what we're working towards.
It's like
we want to get where we can open up to the public, and so we can have, especially, I think it's important for kids. With the farm part of it.
Well, kids are so excited about farm animals, especially up here. Like, we went to the library. They had an event where they had farm animals. Oh my gosh. Adults and kids alike. You would think they had never seen a chicken before.
Well, some people hadn't.
No, I'm telling you, the kids and rabbits, chickens, rabbits, goats. Kids love goats, lambs. They had llamas up there, and I love llamas. They did. They had some llamas.
You sound like a complete psycho. I love llamas.
No, my ideal thing is to start a farm too. Yeah, and call it Alpaca Bowl.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to have...
That's a good idea.
Yeah, when they legalize marijuana here, it's going to be alpacas and marijuana and a bakery.
Yeah, nothing can go wrong with that.
Absolutely not. I love it, though. But anyway, so I think that but kids and families in general love to see. I mean, there's a lady over here somewhere. She runs something called the Art Barn, and so she has the kids come in and do art, and they draw a picture of her bunnies or whatever, the chickens or the ducklings, and and then they go around the farm, and I just think that's a really good idea, because I don't think we, as a society in America, are connected to the farm like we used to be.
And see, that's something that's important to me, and it's important to Danny too, and that's something that we've tried to do for our kids is, with Savannah and Bobby, I really wanted them to have a different experience growing up. We were really close to our cousin. We called him Uncle Irvin, but he was our cousin, but because he was so much older than us, but he grew up during the Great Depression. And he talked to us about stuff like plowing with a mule and growing tobacco, and how they used to grow their own food, and how during the Depression people went, days and days where they didn't know where their next meal was coming from, And I think it's important, you don't realize how far away from the farm, how far away from the things that really matter we've gotten.
Oh yeah.
I think it's important for kids to understand where their food comes from. And I think it's important for them to have a respect for, not only the animals, but how much work goes into planting, how much work goes into weed, and how much plant goes into water, and how much how much effort. Yeah, how much effort goes into all of it to be able to sit down at your table and have,
an abundance of food.
Yeah, chicken and peas and, potatoes. Butter. Yeah, and butter. I mean, I want the kids, I want it to be educational.
Yeah.
And I also want them to have a respect for, or to gain a respect for animals in general. I mean, not just the handicapped animals, but farm animals too, And, we live in a society where if things aren't convenient, then we just dispose of them.
Yeah.
And I think that we as a, society need to teach our kids that that's not the way it should be. Just because your dog that you've had for 4 or 5 years needs a leg amputated does not mean that he's broken and he can't be the friend that you had before.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you're going on vacation and you don't want to pay for somebody to look after your dog when you're gone doesn't mean that the animal is disposable, So, I mean, I do hope that eventually we can get where we, open up to the public. That's our end goal. But right now, we're just, I hate the expression "you can't save them all," but right now we're saving what we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's definitely more than what most people are doing.
Well,
and and I don't think don't throw stones when you're standing in a glass house.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody can do something though. I mean, even everybody can't have. I mean, everybody can't have 30 animals.
Oh.
I mean, everybody can't take care of. They don't have the help. They don't have the resources. But everybody, I tell people all the time, if you're not going to help, at least don't harm. Spay and neuter, microchip your pet. If you see a stray, try to help in some way. You can foster. Look, shelters need fosters like nobody's business. I mean, and when you get a foster, I mean, their medical is paid for. A lot of times they'll help you out with food and stuff. So you're virtually all you have is you're given some time and a little space, and it's the difference in life and death for a living, breathing being, and so fostering, and if you can't foster, donate. I mean, you can donate to, your shelter. You can donate to individuals if you know them and the work that they do, then you can donate to them. Like we're not licensed yet. We have applied for our license, but the people who donate to us, they don't care about the piece of paper. They care about what we do.
Right.
And so that's why they donate. They actually visibly, and I try to make sure that I actively, visibly show them, where their money's going. Look, your money is what helped me accomplish this. Your money is what helped me accomplish that, And then, if you're not donating money, a lot of rescues and fosters or people who, help these strays and all, they either sell things to get money or they have wish lists. And I mean, you wouldn't think that like one box of puppy pads will help, but it helps. I mean, so everybody can do something, and if nothing else, volunteer. I mean, take a Saturday and go scoop some dog poop. I mean, it helps. It helps when you got 30 something dogs and you got kennels and you're, trying to get everybody fed and watered. Look, 15 minutes to be able to sit down by yourself and, have a Coke is great. I mean, we get up, we usually get up like 6, 7 in the morning, and sometimes we're not done until, 10, 11 at night, depending on what's going on that day. So, anybody volunteering is helpful too.
I think that's a good note to end on, to tell people that you should donate to your local rescue or your shelter. Or do some research on Facebook and reach out to people who are doing things like Brandy's doing, or
Instagram. I think you have a lot of.
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow us on Instagram,
throw it out there.
Our Instagram is Fur Baby Mama. It's FurBabyMoma. That's our Instagram, and we get donations through PayPal. So it's Greasy Goat Farm, GREASY Goat Farm @gmail.com.
Visit it, donate, she's doing something good. And if you can't, like if you're far away, and find another rescue.
That's right. I'm sure there's people. I mean, in our area, we have a little small group. I dare say there's probably 10 or 12 people that are kind of banded together, and they're really doing good things for Lawrence County. I mean, they're trying, and you know, our animal control, you know, we have a lot of people bash our animal control in Lawrence County, and I'm not going to bash them because I do think that there's some improvement that needs to be made there. I think that there's, I think they need to improve their, I think they need to improve the relationship that they have with the public.
Yeah.
But Lawrence County is the biggest county in the state, and there's like 2 animal control officers.
It's a lot to deal with
for the entire county. So, you know, they need help, you know, I mean, you know, and I don't know, you know, what the budget is for that, but you know, there's a band of us in our area, and I'm sure in every area it's the same. You know, just get on Facebook and seek them out.
Well,
Instagram, seek them out.
We appreciate what you're doing. Savannah, Brandy, Bobby Lee, along with Megan and Matt, want to say thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
We've had a great time. All the listeners and watchers out there, thanks for being with us and helping Need an Adult. We really appreciate it. I'll leave you guys with an inspirational quote. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
That's the truth.
So you guys have a wonderful night, day, wherever you're listening, and thank you for listening.